That I'm starting the recording now, so let's get going. So today I'm going to be talking again about the travel insurance by Blue Cross Blue Shield Global Solutions. So first thing I like to always say is this is not like a trip protection or trip insurance. So when you go and like book a flight or like to domestic or something like that, it always says, hey, protect your trip, add insurance. That's not what this is. So this is going to be for individuals who are going to be traveling internationally, and it's going to allow them to have coverage and protection internationally. So let's kind of jump into everything here. Now I know there's a lot on this screen, but I'm going to kind of break everything down and take it step by step to kind of go through everything. So first thing, you'll see there's two plans, the GeoBlue Voyager and the Trekker, which are a dark blue, and then you have your GeoBlue Explorer and Navigator, which are a light blue. So your light blue plans on the right, these are going to be more long-term plans, and I'll kind of explain what that means here in just a second. While the plans on the left side of the screen are going to be more your short-term plans. Now, short-term plans are probably what you're looking for and why you're here, but I will be explaining all of them throughout the presentation today. So let's kind of get jumping into each one of these plans and kind of what they're each, what the purposes of each of them. So we'll start all the way on the left and we'll start with the Voyager plan. So this plan is going to be designed for individuals who are doing a single trip, and it can go all the way up to 182 days or essentially 6 months, right? So if they're spending, they're doing a long vacation for maybe 3 months or something like that, this is going to be perfect for that individual. Now, I'm just going to kind of take us through the plan and some of the details of it. It is guaranteed issue, so there's never going to be any underwriting for these plans, so you don't have to worry about that. And then this is can be issued up to age 95 on this plan. So almost anybody can qualify for this. With it, it does cover, sickness, accident, and injuries while traveling. It's also going to include medical evacuation. If you don't know what that is, that's if somebody, let's say they have a serious injury when they're overseas and they need to be brought back to the United States, or maybe if they're in like a country that doesn't have a great medical system, they need to be, brought to just a completely different country. Things like that, that can run up to $30,000. It's going to cover the cost for that as well. With this plan, it does cover pre-existing conditions. It's available. With that, someone does need to have, of course, insurance already in order for it to cover the pre-existing conditions. Price changes just a little bit if they want it to cover pre-existing conditions, and I'll kind of go over that when I show you the enrollment platform here in just a minute. All right. Other than that, with this plan, there are no countries that are excluded from this. So anywhere that somebody is traveling to, it is going to be covered with that. And then premiums are going to be based off of age and the length of the trip. So again, this is going to be designed for that individual who's doing just, one trip, whether it's a few days or up to 6 months. It's really designed for that type of individual. Now, moving to the right, we're going to talk about the GeoBlue Trekker. Now, this is going to be kind of like a multi-trip plan. So what this does is when somebody gets on this, they're going to get coverage for the next 365 days. They'll pick a date that they want it to start, and then starting then in the next 365 days, they can use up to 70 days total in the next year to give them the international coverage. Now, to kind of make this more clear, let's say an individual throughout the year, once per quarter, travels internationally for business or something like that, and they're only gone for maybe 7 to 10 days at a time, right? So they don't necessarily want to every single time they travel have to reset up a plan. So they'll get a multi-trip plan, and that's just going to cover them for the next 365 days. And the first, again, 70 days are covered. So if they do 7 to 10 days each quarter, that's going to end up being anywhere from 30 to 40 days in that range. So they're going to be good. And they don't have to, again, just keep booking these single trip ones that they would do with the Voyager. Generally, average premium for something like that is going to be about 275, sometimes a little bit lower. This one also is going to be guaranteed issue, and it is going to be available up to age 95 as well. They do need to have a US health plan to be on this. Now, most of your clients are going to have insurance already who are going to be getting on these plans. It doesn't really make sense to add a lot of this insurance on if they're not already insured already. Most people aren't thinking that way if they don't have any insurance currently. So that shouldn't be a huge thing that holds anybody up. All right. So, and again, I'm going to show you the enrollment platform for everything. I'm going to take us through how to build these plans. So if you're a little confused right now, don't worry about that too much. It'll all come full circle once I get to the actual enrollment platform and kind of walk us through that. All right, so moving along to the right side of the screen, so the light blue plans. These are going to be your more longer term plans. So we'll start with the Explorer. So this is available for anybody up to age 74. And this is going to be generally good for somebody who's going abroad for 6 or more months, right? So the Voyager plan on the left was for 6 months or less. So now once you hit that 6 months or above, you'd want to be transitioning and going with the Explorer plan. Now, this is actually a comprehensive major medical plan because it's actual like a primary insurance that somebody can use. Now, it's important to know also with this one, it can be used in the United States as well as outside of the United States, right? Why that's an important factor is when somebody is going to be going abroad, let's say for that 6 months and beyond, let's say it's 9 months, there's a good chance within that time that they may be coming back to the United States to visit family and stuff for maybe a week, and then they travel back over. So it's going to actually let them use that insurance plan, whether they're in the United States or they're traveling internationally. So it does give them that flexibility, if you will, for that. It's going to have things like mental health, wellness. You can add dental and vision riders, so you can make this a full plan. Now, I do get the question, well, can somebody just use this as an insurance if they just want to stay in the United States? Well, no, it they do have to have, some traveling with it as well. It doesn't really work for somebody who's just going to be domestic. Finally, with this one, it does have medical underwriting as well. So they do have to pass underwriting to be able to get on this plan. So again, it is going to work like a major medical plan. Moving along, the last plan on the screen here is going to be that navigator plan. Now, this is going to be a much more kind of niche plan for certain individuals. So you'll see it's for marine crew. So, somebody does like yachts, or let's say they work on a cruise like liner and they're constantly out of the country traveling. Great plan for that individual. Also for people who do things like missionary work, or maybe they're students who are going to be studying abroad for a few years, right? This is a great option for them. It also works for students coming to the United States. So let's say, again, someone's coming from, we'll say, England, and they're going to be studying in the United States for the next 4 years. This is a great plan for that individual. They actually get reduced and more affordable monthly premiums because it is designed for, again, some of those unique situations. This is available for anybody up to age 74. And of course, yeah, it does include the US coverage as you see there. So that as a whole is a really quick breakdown of the different styles of plans. Now, when you're actually doing the enrollment, it's going to actually be a lot easier, and you're just going to select things like single trip, multi-trip, or long term. And it's going to be a lot easier than trying to go than maybe trying to remember the name of, wait, was it the Voyager plan or the Trekker plan that I needed? You don't have to remember all that. So I'll show you that here in just a second. Other than that, I do like to always cover. So with these plans across all of them, you're going to be looking at a 15% commission of the premium. So um, I always like to say this may not make you the most amount of money. This is a really good value add for you as an agent, though, right? Like, because I'm sure if you, especially if you're doing things in the Medicare space, I know that I get a question all the time is what happens if I travel internationally? Does my Medicare work internationally? And we all know there's some reimbursements that can happen, but it's never a clear cut thing of when they might get reimbursed or anything like that. So when they have this and then you can offer this, this is great for them. They can feel confident when they go internationally. They actually get an insurance card, and when they go international, they just download the GeoBlue app, and they can actually look for in-network doctors and hospitals who will actually take this plan and will just accept the insurance card, and it's just going to cover everything. So they don't have to worry about trying to be reimbursed for some of these different services. It's just going to be covered by them showing their insurance card. So that's a really good value add for me and something that I really want to make sure my clients know about if they're traveling internationally. All right. So finally, as far as my slide deck is real short here, but I want to take us to the actual portal. Pretty much what's going to happen is once you go to their enrollment portal, it's going to look like this. And let's take us through this portal and really show what it looks like. All right. So, as I was talking about earlier, so there's single trips, as you see here, there's multi-trip, and there's long-term, right? So it doesn't, you don't have to try and remember which plan does what. It's, are they taking a single trip, or is this individual going to take multiple trips throughout the year, or do they need something long-term? It makes it real easy for you. Now, before I jump into actually showing some examples, I do want to take you through kind of the back end portal. So what you do here is once you kind of, and the website, by the way, Blue Cross or bcbsglobalsolutions.com. That's going to be your super basic website. From here, though, I'm going to go to brokers. I'm going to go to portal for brokers and agents. And then from here, I'm just going to go to individual agent hub and go to agent hub. It's gonna just went ahead and logged me in here. And so from here, there's a couple things I just want to show. First off, if you want marketing materials, brochures, that sort of thing, I just come up here to this marketing. I'm going to go to the Blue Cross Blue Shield Global Solutions marketing materials. And then I can get, different educational tools, brochures and flyers. If I want testimonials, there's all these different kind of services right here. Okay. From here, though, let's say I'm just going to go back to the home. It's going to have me relog in. Give me a second. All right. So now from here, I'm just going to come up to quotes right here, and I'm just going to put in single trip, and this is going to take me back to this page where I have these different options. Now, this now is my actual personal portal. So you'll see at the top here, it has my name, it has my actual cell phone number and email. So this is my live account that I can use with my agents or with my clients, excuse me. At the top here, what's really cool is this URL. It kind of looks like a bunch of jumbled different letters and words and stuff, but that's a personalized URL that's just for me. I can actually take this, embed this into emails or maybe into like a website. And what it'll do is it's not going to come up as that, but it'll actually come up as insurance. Let me kind of show you guys an example because I didn't explain that real well and I just wanted to make it super clear. So let's say on the bottom of my email, I put something like need travel insurance. And then I come over here, just going to copy this. And then see, it comes up real pretty as Blue Cross Blue Shield Global Solutions Travel Insurance. From here, somebody can just click right on that link and it's going to take them right to my page. From here, they can go enroll themselves, do everything by themselves. Anything that they do, I still get full credit for. So I don't actually have to be present with them for me to get the full credit. So that's a really cool feature that's added on. And again, you can embed that in any emails or maybe like websites that you have. So let's kind of go through and build some plans and show you how that goes. So we'll start with the single trip. It's pretty simple. I'm just going to pick the date of trips. So in this situation, we're saying we're going to go from the 12th to the 19th. I just put in my client's age. Let's say they're 65. I'm over here in Colorado. I'm just going to put in the zip code here and just put get a quote. So from here, it's going to build a couple different things and it's going to let me customize a few different factors. First, with the medical coverage, I can choose to have $1 million of coverage, 500,000, 100,000, or just 50,000. So I can kind of customize that if I really want to make this price, get lower. As of right now, it's for 8 days of travel. It's about $78 for that member, and it breaks it even down to it's about $9.83 per person per day. So under $10 to make sure that they're covered with $1 million of coverage and zero deductible. If they want to really get this as low as possible, they can lower this down. If you lower it to 50,000, it lowers a couple dollars here. If I make it a $500 deductible, it can lower a little bit further, right? But ultimately, I always say if somebody can afford to travel all across Europe or wherever they're going, they can afford to do $10 a day to make sure that they're covered and have that peace of mind there. And we did get a question, is the single premium payment or a monthly payment? So yeah, this premium, they just pay it once. So when they buy it, they just pay the premium. It's not going to be monthly, especially for the single trip, because they just pay it right at the beginning. For the multi trip, that also they'll just pay it for the entire year, and they don't have to sit there and pay monthly. They just pay that flat rate right at the top. Cool. So I also talked earlier about pre-existing conditions. So you'll see there's this little button here in the middle of the screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here for everybody. This says cover my pre-existing conditions. They're currently covered. And again, you'll see it does require an existing domestic health insurance plan. It gives you a little bit more that, hey, it doesn't have to be Blue Cross Blue Shield. It can be any insurance. So if I don't care about my pre-existing conditions are covered, you'll see the premium goes down maybe about $10, $11. So in my head, I'm like, it's worth it to pay a little bit extra to make sure those pre-existing conditions are covered, especially if there's something serious. All right, so the next question probably everybody has is, what's the coverage actually look like? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Let me scroll down. So all I come right here is this benefits and medical coverage. I'm just going to pull coverage details here. And this is going to actually break down what I get coverage on, right? So again, it shows, hey, I have the options to go from $1 million to 50,000, my deductibles, and then you'll start seeing 100% coverage for surgeries, 100% coverage for office visit, any inpatient hospital services, 100% coverage. Prescription drugs, 100% coverage of up to $5,000 for prescriptions, right? So you're going to see across the board, you're going to get 100% coverage for all this. So what's really nice is that that's probably better than what they're going to have, especially if I say if they have a Medicare Advantage plan and they have all these co-pays. Now if they're traveling internationally, they're actually going to get a little bit better coverage internationally than they would here stateside. Um, Let's see. And then we do have another under the pre-existing condition. Will an indemnity plan work, or does it have to be a major medical? It does have to be a major medical plan. Great question, Richard. So yeah, they would need to make sure they're in some kind of actual major medical plan. Just something like a fixed indemnity plan does not count as major medical on the insurance side. So great point. But yeah, so I mean, other things here too. If I want to learn more about the medical networks, I have an option here. If I want to learn about the medical evacuation, that's what I was talking about earlier, that they can fly somebody to a different area. So you can see that they pay up to $500,000 for any medical evacuations. So again, a lot of just peace of mind for your clients for a very affordable rate, right? If I want to learn more about pre-existing conditions, I can see that. So all of my information that I want is just I just scroll down a little bit from where I was working, right? So very easy to find. So again, that's your single trip. Again, for somebody who's 65, you're looking at less than $10 a day. If Another thing I always say is if you know family members who have kids who are in college and you have your spring breakers going to Cancun and stuff, right? You want to make sure that they're covered as well. So let's say this individual is 21. It gets a lot more affordable, very, very low cost, and again, it comes back to, is it going to be high commissions? No. But are you going to be able to take care of these people who are traveling internationally? And that's going to add a lot of value for you as an agent. That's definitely going to be there, right? So in this situation, for an 8-day trip for somebody who's 21, $2.38 a day for them to be covered for that 100%, right? So really, really strong rates. Even somebody who's on the older side is still not going to be paying a ton for this. Cool. So now let's talk about multi-trips. So we're going to go over to the multi-trip side. So with this, there's going to be a little bit less customization as far as the coverage and the deductible goes. So you'll see they can really choose either $1 million of coverage or 500,000. If they do the $1 million, it's $100 deductible. If they do the 500,000 option, it's a $200 deductible. With this, you will notice there's no option for checking for pre-existing conditions. That's because, as I mentioned earlier, with this plan, they have to have actual insurance to be able to get this plan. If they don't have a major medical plan currently, they can't get on the multi-trip, right? The single trip, they don't need to have major medical, right? Because if they don't, you can uncheck this and they can still get coverage while not having major medical insurance here, right? But the multi-trip has to have that, right? And again, if I want to see any benefits for this one, now same thing, I can just come down here. It's going to update to the multi-trip plan, and you're still going to see you're going to get all that 100% coverage here for everything. It's going to give you your month or your yearly premium, because remember, with this plan, when you purchase it, it's good for the next 365 days for whenever you want that to start. I just choose, when do I want that start date to happen? If I'm leaving on the 12th, I have it start the 12th, right? If I want to change it to July 7th, I can have it start July 7th. Whenever that start date is, it's going to go for the next 365 days. And again, I can use 70 days of international travel that I'm covered for. It only covers the first 70, right? So if somebody is going to have, let's say, multiple trips throughout the year, but every time they're on a trip, they're maybe gone for 60 days. What I'm probably going to do in that situation is I'm going to do 2 single trips, right? Because one for 60 days and the next one for 60 days. Since the combined would be 120, that would put me above my 70 days. So I wouldn't want to go with the multi-trip option in that situation. All right, let me just check for questions, see if anything else popped up here. All right, don't see any. Oh, and then, Stephanie, when you talk about share plans, what do you mean by a share plan? And I'll wait for that response, and I'll just kind of keep going and circle back to that. All right. So while I'm waiting for that, let's come back here, and now I'm gonna go back into this beginning page, and I'm gonna go over the long-term trips option right here. Okay. All right, so for long term, this is where I'm going to be selecting which of those options are, from right here. So as I mentioned earlier, there's, depending if someone's a missionary or they're a student, right? They get better rates. So that's where I can just select this option for here. So let's say they're a student. From here, I'm just going to go to get a quote. So with this, looks a little bit differently, simply because with this one, you are going to have actual like full underwriting for this as well. So it's going to be more like applying to a normal type of insurance. And let's see, we had another question, but I want to attack because it was about the multi-trip. So on the multi-trip, if there is a 70-day limit, can the other days in the year be used for domestic coverage? That is a great, great question. I want to say that it can, but I'll have to double check as far as that goes. So I will look into that, and then I'll send an email out to the group when I kind of figure that one out. And then I'll have to double check into the share plans as well, Stephanie, and get back to everybody on that one. And then one more question. Sorry, I'm just gonna make sure I tack all these questions before we move on. So can the international plans be purchased if the person enrolls if they are outside of the United States? So yeah, so let's say if so basically the question is, can somebody, if they're outside of the United States, and I'm assuming it's if they're coming to the United States, can they purchase a plan? I'm thinking that's what the question would be, and that would be the case. So if you have, just like if a student is traveling abroad and needs coverage in England, if somebody was coming from England and going to be staying here, they could also use one of these long-term plans domestically because, again, they're actually going to be international. So it does work for both situations in that regard. All right. So let's talk about the long term. So I'm just going to put in. All right. Sorry, I think I lost audio there for a second. But yeah, I'm going to put in my zip code here. And then it's going to ask, let's see. Okay. And sorry, one more question came through. So I want to tackle these as they come through. So are these individual plans only or no family? No, these can be family plans as well. So definitely can be worked for individuals and families. So you just kind of, you'll put that when you're selecting the options if there's going to be other people on the plan as well. But yeah, so let's continue along here. So first off, it's going to ask, where are you going to be living, right? So again, we're just going to put in like England because that's kind of been my one that I've been talking about. Or is it under UK maybe? I think it is. Let's try and see if it's under the UK. There it is. So we're going to say the United Kingdom. And then it's going to ask, when do I want the coverage date to start? You'll see with this, it doesn't have me select a specific date. What it's going to do is I'm going to select either the 15th or the 1st of the month, right? So in this situation, we'll put the 15th here. It's going to have primary insurance, date of birth. So I'm going to make up some random information and say, again, this person is a student. They're studying abroad. So they were probably around 21. So they were probably born in about 2006. Just kind of throwing a random thing. And then if there's a spouse, you can add a spouse here as well. All right, first name, we're signing up Mickey Mouse here. And I'm just going to make a test information here. All right, and then I'm going to get a quote. So from here, what I can do to really kind of change the plan with this to customize it is I can change the deductible amount. So right here, you'll see there's the $5,000 plan or 5,000 plan means there's a $5,000 deductible. If I go for the 2,500 plan, it means there's a lower deductible, rate's going to increase, right? And it just kind of goes all the way down to having a $0 deductible, right? So this is the monthly fee for that plan, right? And of course, again, I can change this if I don't want to have to worry about them having a deductible. I can change this, and then we have that. I can also, there's add-ons here, like if I want to add dental and vision and make sure they're covered on that side, I can add a dental and vision rider, and that's going to just go ahead and change that price there that you'll see. So it's about $78 to add the dental and vision rider. And I can always hit this button for what's covered, and then it's going to show me what's actually covered with that dental and vision rider. So I can see all that there. Okay. If that makes sense for them, I can just hit apply now, and then I can start taking them through the enrollment. I'm not going to go through everything here, but I just kind of wanted to show you kind of how that's going to work. So let's see. I think that's the majority. Like I said, I don't have any dummy information to put in here. This is my personal account, so I don't want to go too far into the enrollment here. But yes, let me see. Let me double back to any questions here. All right, so Richard asked if I want to sell a plan to an expat who is already living in another country, can I sell them a plan without having them return to the US first? So, a big part of that question depends on if that individual is still going to be living here as well. So, with these plans, the whole idea is while it's long term, it's still somewhat temporary. If they've moved to a different country and they live there permanently from now on, this wouldn't be the right plan for them. They would have to be somebody that they still have like a domestic address and everything here, and they're kind of traveling back and forth, or they at least they have this to come back home after this is over. So it's not going to be designed for somebody who's just moved permanently out of the United States and just lives in another country permanently now. All right, let's see what else do we have. And I think that is all the questions that we have so far. Um, Again, that's about the extent of what I wanted to show you. There's always more to this. So if there is more questions, let me pull up my info again here so that you all have it. I'll make this a little bit bigger here. Yeah, so this is my extension here and my email address. So if this is not a product that you are currently contracted with, feel free to reach out to me or whoever your current director is, and we can start this going for you and start getting that contract going. Let's see. So we did get a question real quick. How strong is the hospital network abroad and doctors network also? So I don't think it's going to be extremely, extremely strong. Just to be, completely upfront about it. Again, whenever somebody sets up a plan, they'll get the app, they'll be able to log in, they'll be able to look up different doctors and facilities into the areas that they're going and see them. I don't know how robust those are going to be. Again, I wouldn't assume that there's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of doctors, in the city that they're at, right? There's just going to be options for them if it comes down to it. Now, if they do have to go out of network and they don't go to one, they would have to pay out of pocket and then could be reimbursed for things if that's the case. But obviously, if we want to avoid the reimbursement as a whole, then they would just be able to try and find something in network and be able to show their insurance card. Great question. Oh, that's a great question. So Richard asked, if they get this plan, are the in-network doctors English speaking? I don't have an answer to that. My assumption would be yes, right? Because why would they sign up for a United States product if they can't really communicate with the clients they're going to be working with or the patients they're working with? So I would assume yes, but I don't quote me on that. I don't have a for certain answer on that. But great question, Richard. All right. I'm not seeing any others right now. Um, I'll hang out here for a few more minutes, but that's really about the extent of everything that I wanted to go over with you. So if you do have more questions, again, I'll hang out here for maybe 2 or 3 more minutes and kind of answer the questions as we go. But other than that, I appreciate everybody spending some time in your afternoon, especially on a Friday when I'm sure we're already ready for the weekend. But it's been a pleasure and thank you so much.